It's tempting to think of hackers as elite coders that are essentially magicians when it comes to computers. The reality, though, is a bit more mundane. By embracing some basics of cybersecurity, you can prevent the vast majority of attacks. What's up, everybody? It's Ned Bellavance, nedinthecloud.com, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about getting back to basics when it comes to cybersecurity. As I mentioned in the intro, it's tempting to think of hackers and hacking outfits as these elite coders that are basically magicians when it comes to getting into your computer and your systems. At least, that's how Hollywood tends to present them. They furiously type on a keyboard for hours. They take down firewalls, compromise accounts, and exfiltrate data with nary an errant keystroke. They just type it all and compile it perfectly the first time. But like I said, the reality, it's a bit more mundane. Most cybersecurity attacks are not particularly targeted and are crimes of opportunity. Even though new exploits are found every day, the way most systems are compromised comes down to one of three vectors: compromised credentials, unpatched systems, and common software exploits. It can be tempting to buy the newest whiz-bang security product that promises to solve all of your cybersecurity woes, but adding another tool to the mix might just make things worse. According to the Splunk State of Security 2023 report, they listed out the top 3 cloud security challenges, and one of them was, quote, use of multiple cybersecurity controls increases cost and complexity, end quote. That seems bad. So before you click on the big red shiny buy button, you might want to take a moment and make sure you've covered the fundamentals. At the end of January 2024, a trove of breach data was leaked containing a massive 26 billion records in 12 terabytes. It's being called the mother of all breaches. And if your credentials have been compromised in the past 5 years, it's probably on that list. You can bet that every script kiddie and hacker with a botnet is cycling through this massive list, actively trying to gain access to email, applications, or any other public-facing service they can think of. Credential compromise is one of the top attack vectors for compromising systems, according to Verizon's Data Breach Investigation Report for 2023, citing 49% of breaches involved credentials. Even if it is a low-privilege account, just getting a toehold in the environment can be enough to establish a beachhead and start escalating privileges through exploits. One of the best things you can do for your company is to set up single sign-on and to centralize authentication, and then apply strong controls to that authentication. Multi-factor auth is a must, and if you can ditch passwords in favor of FIDO2 and passkeys, that's even better. You can even take it a step further and assess the security posture of humans logging in, including uncommon locations or unknown devices. But at a bare minimum, force two-factor authentication for everyone, no exceptions, not even for the CEO. Of course, people aren't the only ones with accounts. Machines log into things all the time. Short-lived and dynamic credentials are your friend for machine communication. Passwords should not be hard-coded into scripts or deployment pipelines. Implement OpenID Connect where you can, or use some other trusted identity source, and rotate secrets and certificates often. Speaking of doing things early and often, patching your systems would be another good place to focus. It doesn't have to be daily or even weekly patching, but having a regular patching cadence for your systems will do a lot to combat successful exploits. For instance, you would be stunned at how many unpatched Linux and Windows servers are just hanging out on the internet. Verizon's report states that the majority of intrusion breaches began by hacking a server through an exploit on a system or application vulnerability and then escalating from there. For the most part, these are not targeted attacks. Instead, it's a matter of scanning public endpoints and attempting to gain a toehold. Hacking groups now employ large botnets to constantly scan the internet. The lessons here are twofold. One, if you don't need to put a system on the internet, don't. And second, if you do need to put a system on the internet, patch it and disable any functionality that is not completely required. Shrinking your attack surface and hardening the rest should be the name of the game. This is basic security hygiene, but according to the Splunk State of Security report, it is still a massive problem and a major stumbling block for security, application, and operations teams. The other major attack vector involves application vulnerabilities and basic coding errors. Ideally, these are caught early on in the development process, and there's no lack of static and dynamic analysis tools out there. And yet, application vulnerabilities are the third primary way breaches occur, and it's not always because of zero-day exploits like Log4j. If you take a look at the OWASP Top 10 list for web applications, the list has been pretty static for the better part of a decade. Injection, broken access control, and cryptographic failures are at the top of the list. While it is very difficult to resolve all security issues in applications, educating developers and giving them the tools to test their code goes a long way to plugging the holes. Of particular note is vulnerable and outdated components, which could be embedded in an existing framework, library, or container image. It might not even be your developer's code that has the issue, but an off-the-shelf component they integrated or a service they're leveraging. Your developers care about security, and they need your help. Ultimately, InfoSec isn't about fancy new tools. It's about education. It's about understanding the fundamentals and making sure your security, application, and operation teams do too. If they don't understand the why, they're unlikely to care about the how. In 2024, cyber attacks are projected to rise, fueled by global instability and generative AI. Your best bet to combat the escalating threat, that rhymed, is not a SaaS solution or a shiny new tool. It's an educated and informed team that cares about getting the basics right and has the means to do so. At least, those are my thoughts on the topic. I'm curious to hear what you think. Hit me up on LinkedIn or leave a comment down below, or you can visit my website, nedinthecloud.com. Thanks, everybody. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe out there. Bye for now.